Thank you for joining me for this month's Virtual Curators Tour. I'm Jenna Gilley, Associate Curator of Exhibitions at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, and I'll be your tour guide. Today, we will be exploring Bill Smith, Jewelry's Maverick, co-curated by myself and Joanne Spiller, Director of Education at the Jefferson County History and Art Museum. This exhibition is supported by the Edward D. and Ione R. Foundation. I want to begin our tour with a passage by Joanne Spiller, who is the leading expert on Bill Smith and his work. The journey of this collection began while researching famous local Hoosiers for a children's book. Searching through the Jefferson County History and Art Museum archives, I discovered a 1971 article on Bill Smith, a black jeweler born in Madison, Indiana, as well as a lapel button and pendant donated at the same time. I took to the internet to learn more about Smith and became fascinated with his story, especially his disappearance from the jewelry design world. I spent an intense, somewhat obsessive 4 years researching Bill Smith's life and designs. My mission to share his exceptional life story and designs culminated in a book to be published early summer 2024 titled Visionary Designs by Bill Smith, TJ, and this inaugural traveling exhibit, hosted at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. Bill Smith's story begins in the small town of Madison, Indiana. Smith was always creative, even being the art editor of his newly integrated high school's newspaper. He attended IU until 1953, when he left to pursue a career as a dancer in New York. Classes at IU in metalsmithing secured Smith his first jewelry job, an assistant to the now famous modernist jeweler Art Smith. Along with their surnames, the designers were strikingly similar. Both were black, gay, based in New York, and shared a deep love of dance. Art knew of the difficulties black gay men faced at the time, as his first store was repeatedly vandalized, and there was even an attempt to run him over. This understanding may have prompted Art to give Bill his first jewelry position at his new studio in the more bohemian Greenwich Village. Bill Smith's designs show his mentor's desire to make jewelry a sculptural art form in their craftsmanship, statement size, elevation of common materials, and consciousness of the body. This piece was one of the first that Smith created for costume jewelry company Richelieu upon hire in 1968, and demonstrates the effect that his mentor and the larger mid-century modernist movement had on his art. Smith worked in art shop for under a year when he opened his own label, Smith St. Jacques, which similarly specialized in statement jewelry. This belt buckle, filled with raised designs of sharp lines and circles, emulates the large geometric and sculptural designs from that era, usually made from a singular material. The fact that it was made later in Smith's career is a testament that simplicity, but never plainness, remained the key to this designer's aesthetic. Another unique element of Smith's work was his interest in unconventional materials. When clients and reporters visited Bill Smith's studio, they recalled it as more of a mad laboratory. Nail heads, silk drapery tassels, wood, plastic, and leather were just a few of the strange materials found in Smith's creative designs throughout his career. To Smith, who was not just the designer, but often maker of his products, nothing was off limits. These new materials, combined with freedom of thought and exemplary craftsmanship, brought revolutionary change to the jewelry industry and became Smith's signature. Here, one of Smith's most controversial designs is shown: 2 industrial coils dipped in gold, joined by golden spheres and hooks on each side to create a heavy statement necklace. Only by the gravity of wearing the piece around one's neck does the necklace form a smooth oval shape. Below is an undipped prototype consisting of crude hardware store goods welded together. Smith liked the duality of high and low-end materials, or something mundane being made into a beautiful object. This sentiment, whether intentionally or not, plays into a philosophy found in much Black art. Whether it be scraps joined together to form beautiful quilts, as demonstrated by the talented women of Gee's Bend, or collaged magazine scraps utilized by Harlem Renaissance artist Romare Bearden, Black artists transformed their surroundings by making do with what they had. These coil necklaces also pay homage to African jewelry, which often features gold, a rich resource on the continent, and repetitive concentric circles. When Smith took over as head designer of the costume jewelry company Richelieu, it was known for its tasteful, though lackluster strands of pearls. Smith knew that to bring in a younger clientele, his first creations needed to boldly depart from tradition. To the company's horror, he created robes, pants, and vests, seen here, out of hundreds of pearl strands, worn with very little underneath to give a nude illusion in the spirit of the freedom of the late 60s. The company refused to sell the pieces and instead promoted them as gimmicky window dressings. God, I was mad as hell, Smith noted. Within 2 weeks, however, every department store in New York wanted one of Smith's pearl body jewelry creations in their window. At least 50 fashion-forward women purchased the looks, and Smith even went on the Today Show with Barbara Walters to promote what he believed to be the future of jewelry. Body jewelry became one of Smith's most innovative and certainly memorable trademarks, but did not take off as he hoped. However, Smith did make a name for himself at the company and created hundreds of innovative pearl designs over his career, which serve as the centerpiece of the exhibition. While body jewelry didn't sell despite the times, this next collection played perfectly off cultural trends. The practice of astrology surged in the free-thinking and anti-establishment crux of the 1960s. The New Age movement embraced a wide range of spiritual practices such as meditation, alternative medicine, and astrology as new ways, at least in the West, to understand the human condition and the world. Bill Smith's Zodiac collection was prolific, consisting of rings, various shaped pins, buckles, and in this case, belts. Called waist ornaments by Smith, this belt was the star of the collection and surely brought attention to the wearer's hips. It features all 12 signs of the zodiac, from left to right: Aquarius, the water bearer; Pisces, the fish; Libra, the scales; Cancer, the crab; Leo, the lion; Scorpio, the scorpion; Sagittarius, the archer; Aries, the ram; Gemini, the twins; Taurus, the bull; Capricorn, the goat; and Virgo, the maiden. Stars decorate each symbol to emphasize their connection to the heavens, and each has been painted with dazzling gold. In 1969, Bill Smith had his Broadway debut, though not as a dancer as he once hoped. He was selected as the exclusive jewelry designer for a new production documenting famous French designer Coco Chanel's return to Paris. Smith worked with industry giants, including lead Katharine Hepburn in her only musical role, fashion darling Cecil Beaton on sets and costumes, and lyrics and music by Alan J. Lerner and Andre Previn, both of My Fair Lady. Jewelry was an integral aspect of the show, as Chanel, the first fashion designer to promote costume jewelry, loved wearing mountains of fake pearls and jewels. Smith created swinging pearl strands and large crystallized brooches inspired by royal jewels that could be seen from far away and glimmer in the stage lights. One such example is this pin, which features glass ruby cabochons and rhinestones in a Maltese cross design, an icon of the designer and her brand. 75 copies of the Coco jewelry set were sold at L.S. Ayres & Co. in Indianapolis in celebration of the Hoosier natives' success. Bill Smith would go on in 1970 to leave his contract with Richelieu and began Bill Smith Design Studios, Inc., to have complete control and ownership over his work. Through this label, Smith broke out of costume jewelry, producing a high-end collection with Cartier, furs for Ben Kahn, and leather goods with Mark Cross. Unfortunately, in his final years, Bill Smith fell out of the spotlight. Fewer and fewer articles document his later work in the 70s and 80s, and by 1981, his company, Bill Smith Design Studios, Inc., was discontinued. On August 22, 1991, Bill Smith passed away due to complications of AIDS-related pneumonia. Possibly due to stigma around AIDS at the time, we have few records of his final years. Bill Smith's story is inspirational, yet his legacy has been surprisingly undervalued by Hoosier historians in the art world, until now. This exhibition brings Smith's story and creative contributions back for an encore in his home state to ensure his achievements remain. Thank you for joining me for this virtual Curators tour. If you would like to see more of Smith's innovative work and learn more about his legacy, we encourage you to see Bill Smith, Jewelry's Maverick, in person before it closes on August 4th.